Hello, this is going to be a video overviewing our last essay, which is the argumentative proctored essay. As I mentioned in the announcement, you are going to be using this week to begin the assignment. Now you're going to have 2 weeks to work on this particular essay because it is 25% of your grade. It's the final essay of the course. I'm hoping that your other essays this semester have kind of helped you to understand kind of my expectations and also to maybe encourage you to avoid certain grammar errors. If you haven't headed to the Learning Lab yet to get some extra help and instruction on run-ons, comma splices, fragments, or subject-verb agreement errors, you still have time and you may want to go and visit the Learning Lab before you actually submit this particular assignment because, again, it is 25% of your final grade. Now, to begin this assignment, I would encourage you to first print out the handout that overviews it, and when you click on that particular handout, this is what you're going to find. Now, again, I've already mentioned this is our final essay. It's worth 25% of your final grade. It's very important. As I mentioned in the announcement, it is our proctored exam essay. Now, you're not taking a test. You're going to be submitting an essay in this setting. Now, as far as time, you're going to start the essay this week. I mean, if you choose to work on it during Thanksgiving, that's your prerogative, but I would encourage you to do as much work on this essay this week, so that's less work you have to do during Thanksgiving, and you can enjoy spending time during the holiday with your family and friends. Now, as far as this particular assignment, you are going to be developing a rough draft this week, and then later you're going to go into the proctored exam setting, and you are going to copy and paste that rough draft into a text box, make revisions, and then submit your final essay into that text box for your final draft. I do want to kind of forewarn you, the way you submit an essay in the proctored exam testing, like setting, it is somewhat frustrating. It's kind of similar to how you did your online discussions where you put your language into a text box or like into your message on Canvas. Unfortunately, this is the only way that you can submit an essay through Canvas in a proctored exam setting, so this is the only option we have. So most of your time in the testing session, it is going to be spent like copying and pasting your essay from maybe Microsoft Office, Google Docs, or another document creator, and you're going to paste it into the text box. You're probably going to be cursing me, but I'm sorry. If I gave you another option to do your essay in this proctored session, I would, but you're going to spend most of your time restructuring with, spacing and formatting and everything. If you want to also email me a Microsoft Office version or a Google Docs version of your essay because you just don't think it looks good in the proctored setting, I don't mind if you do that. I just have to legally say that, hey, so-and-so went to the proctored exam setting, they submitted the assignment, and as long as the assignment doesn't look very different from the one in the exam session and the one you email me, that's all I'm looking for. So, okay. Starting the essay. So as far as this particular assignment, okay, this assignment is an argumentative essay. Now, you have written several essays this semester that deal potentially with a particular job or profession, and you potentially wrote about those maybe in your, example illustration essay, your comparison contrast, maybe even your career narrative. I would like for you to choose one particular occupation. It can be different from the one you've written. If you're still debating between particular occupations, pick one that you haven't discussed, okay? Now, our other essays have been more informative, basically you informing the reader just about these occupations. This particular assignment is argumentative. I want you to try to argue that this particular career is worthwhile and try to persuade the reader to want to go into the actual profession, for themselves. Now, as far as length, because I know most of you want to know basic information, this particular assignment is going to be 2 to 3 pages, okay? The student example essay from Matthew Sellers, it's about 2 pages and not even a half page. It's about a third. And then you're going to have a separate page, which is your works cited page. You'll notice in the research right here, you are required, this is mandatory, you are required to have 3 sources. I would encourage you to use the databases that I suggest, okay, and I'm going to mention those in just a moment. However, you may use, a Google search of your job. Just make sure if you use a website outside the databases, it's .edu, meaning it's university or college affiliated, .org, it's a prestigious organization that is credible, or .gov, it's something through a state or federal government. Now, I do want to ensure that you know the research resources. So you'll notice if we go back to Canvas, okay, I have a section and it's underneath Module 2 under Week 13, which is Effective Research. Now, you may need passwords if you were doing this from home, not on campus. So I do have the passwords of these databases listed here. You may want to, click on this. I'm not going to show you all the databases, just the ones that I think that would be helpful for this assignment. Now, if you click here, you'll go directly to the library link, okay? But I also want to show you how to get to it from our website. If you go to mgcc.edu, you're on our homepage. If you click My Gulf Coast, again, you're taken to My Gulf Coast, which you've probably seen a few times to log into Canvas. Look under Students, click on Library, okay, and you're going to scroll down. Library Resources A to Z. This may look familiar if you use this kind of database for the APA abstract. Click on the Library Resources A to Z. Again, you use probably Academic Search Premier or Academic Search Complete for your APA abstract. You can use this resource again, okay? If you watched the video that overviewed the APA abstract, you know how to use this particular database. Some others that you may want to check out, I'm not even going over those two because I mentioned those databases in the APA abstract video. But if you'll scroll down, there's some others that you may want to look into. Let's look first at Issues and Controversies right here. Okay, now there's one thing that I want to say as far as for this essay. Okay, now you're going to notice on the handout, okay, I mentioned several different points of discussion that you can make. Now there are 10 different potential points that you could make in this essay. Now you need to choose only 3 to 4 of these, okay? You'll notice in Matthew Sellers' essay, the student example, he uses 4, okay? But you can just use 3, or if you want to use 5, or 6, that's fine. But you're going to have a longer essay if you choose that many points. Now, I'm not requiring you to use all 10 of these. Also, although in your other essays, like your example illustration, comparison, contrast, career narrative, you may have discussed some of these points, you don't feel like you have to rehash the same points about the occupation again. I don't want this to be just a regurgitation or a repeat of like the other essays. That would be really boring. Now, if you want to take some research from your previous essays, like maybe basic like duties or salary or job perspective, you can, but I really want this to have more of an argumentative tone. What I mean by that is really think about this job at a bigger scale. If there's something particular that inspired you to work in this field, let us know about it, and it might have an argumentative element. Like just for example, in one of my classes here on campus, I have a student who's going into marine biology because she is very passionate about coral reef damage, okay? So she is going to make coral reef damage a part of her essay. She is going to go to our databases and she's going to find articles that discuss the damage that's being done to our coral reefs, and she's going to educate the audience to persuade them in understanding why this particular occupation is so important, because it's important to our environment and its sustainability. So again, you may not be majoring in marine biology, but you may be majoring in another field, maybe nursing or business. And there may be a wider issue, a wider societal problem. It might be economic, it might be medical, okay? But you feel like it's something important that you really want to address in your essay. And that's when the databases are going to be really, really helpful. Again, I don't want you to just talk about the basics like salary, job projection. Those are things you've probably already addressed in your other essays. You can mention those briefly, but maybe try to broaden out and really try to convince your reader of why this is an important occupation. Why should we not ignore it? And maybe why, as a reader, more people should be going into this occupation. So again, research, see what's out there. Think bigger than just how this particular position is going to benefit you as the person who's working it. Think, how is it going to affect maybe the community where you work, the actual nation in which you live, okay? Future generations. Think bigger. And you're probably going to be able to do that much easier if you're looking for that information here, okay? Now, I can't promise that we're going to find something here. I'm going to just search coral reef damage. I'm just using the students as an example, okay? So you could Okay, find an article that you think really talks about your topic, very important and well, and you want to research it. You could click on your article. I'm just clicking on a random article here. Notice this article goes into just that the federal government may be even getting involved in this particular debate of protecting marine resources, like coral reefs just being one of them. Now, you may want to quote from some individuals that argue that there needs to be more government interaction. I know some of you support, some of you don't. I mean, when it says government interaction, some people are very supportive, some people are oppositional. But you could look at this article and maybe find a really good quote that you feel really captures why you want to go into this particular field. Now, the great thing about Issues and Controversies is that it gives you the publication information. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, right here, this is your publication information, okay? So again, you could use this article in your essay, okay? Now, another database that you may want to check out is you could go into, and I'm going back to the library, go into Opposing Viewpoints. And just click on it. Again, you may be prompted to have passwords with some of these, okay? And again, I'm just going to do her same topic, coral reef damage. And there's journal articles. Okay, primary sources are usually kind of books, images, videos. You can quote from videos. Okay, if you find a really good interview that you want to use for your essay, you can quote from the video and then cite that on your actual assignment. So again, you may be using the databases to find what you feel are articles that overview the deeper meaning of why someone should go into this particular field, why it's important. Look for those. And again, another great thing about this source, and I'm just going to randomly click on, let's see. American sunscreen may damage coral reefs. I did not know that. It's an interesting fact to learn. This is just a random article. If you'll notice, if you scroll down, again, it gives you the publication information, similar to Issues and Controversies, okay? Now, I want to show you a different database. Again, go back to Library. And we're going to go to SIRS, which is actually SIRS Researcher. I always call it just SIRS. And you'll scroll down. And very similar to the other databases, you're going to type in, I'm going to do a different topic. Let's just do electrical engineering because I have another student in another class that's writing about electrical engineering. Okay. She actually is a female student, so I'm going to click on this Education and Training of Women in Science Engineering. She's a female engineer. She may want to talk about the need that there need to be more women in this industry, and that's going to be one of her arguments. She could use potentially this article to make that argument. Again, this does not have the cite at the bottom. If you click Cite, here it is, and you'll just copy and paste it, okay? You're going to notice the major incentive for using these particular sources is because it's going to give you the publication information, okay? The last source that I want to show you that I think would be helpful, besides any of the others, and also the EBSCO Magnolia that I showed you last week, is one that's more visual. If you go to Library Resources, there is a Films on Demand. These are short videos. Y'all are a visual generation, so you may want to use a video in your essay, as I mentioned. They do have videos on opposing viewpoints, but this as well also. We're going to type in electrical engineering. Okay, and maybe you want to find a video that deals with that particular topic. Okay, let's just say looking at the future. Maybe this interview talks about the reasons we need individuals going to this field. You could watch this video if you want to actually cite from it. Again, it very easily gives you that reference. Now, as I said, as far as in the instructions for the assignment, okay, I recommend you using the databases to get research for this assignment. You're required to have 3 sources, but you can go out to the World Web, but again, it doesn't give you the publication information and you're not always sure about the credibility. Okay, this is the end of the first video. In the second video, I'm going to talk about the structure more. This was more about research. Thanks.